I want to first turn over to Rupert, and just if you could just summarize on the beliefs that we have, that Cindy just sort of outlined how they started. If you were going to just say, like, here are a couple of core beliefs that we have that are based upon how we view our economy and economic growth and extraction, use, et cetera. What are those core beliefs?
Well, the one I'd start.
Do you want
with,
to? Maybe you should have a mic.
The one I'd start with would be individualism. Individualism is pretty special. It's at the heart of our story, if we have a story in that sense. Maybe come back to that point. It's very obvious in America, but it's almost just as prevalent here. The thing about it, which is so amazing, is that, of course, it's a complete lie. We don't live in a genuinely individualistic society at all. If we lived in such a society, then there wouldn't be all the kind of mass conformism and mass emulative approaches to life that there are. And people would celebrate eccentrics and new thinking and so forth in ways that just hardly ever happen. So it's a lie, but it's a very influential lie, because what it stands in the way of is collectivism and community and taking society seriously. All the things we absolutely desperately need at this point. So when people talk, for example, about what things they can do to save the world in a society like ours, 99% of people, 99% of the time, reach for individual actions. Things like, well, I could eat less meat, or I could fly less, or I could wear second-hand clothes, which are all super things to do, but are absolutely not going to save the world. If anything's going to save the world, it's going to be mass action by people understanding that in order to actually change anything, nothing happens unless people get together. So individualism is an ideology which possesses us. It possesses us in a way that makes us possessive. It does so in a way. Which is disastrous for the kind of organization that we actually need to handle any of the kinds of issues that Cindy was describing. And it's a lie. So, it's a pretty amazing combination of a disastrous set of characteristics in common. Now, the thing I would just like to add to that is I think that if we're looking at these kind of beliefs, and I've just named one important one, but there are, of course, others, that put together what we might call our story, we can get inclined to say, oh, well, then we need a new story. But I'm actually quite skeptical of this idea that we need a new story. I think we need something like a new imaginary, something like a new philosophy, something like a new spirituality. Actually, most of it's not new. Most of it's actually old. Some of it's very, very old. And in terms of story, what I think, the stories have got to be real. Right? They've got to be the kinds of things that people feel them, the kind of things that James writes, for example, right? You can't kind of create a sort of abstract concept of a story and that be the thing which changes the world. I think what we really need, and this is why I'm delighted with the title we have for this session, is stories. And that's what I hope we're going to spend a lot of time talking about. I think what we really badly need in order to be well-placed to displace the ideology of individualism, for example, are stories which very powerfully get people to see themselves as being part of collectivities which can change things. For example, the great recent example in this country is, of course, Mr. Bates versus the post office, which isn't a story of one man. It's a story of one man who starts to bring a load of people together. And that story has changed politics and policy in this country over the last 12 months, just from being on ITV. That's a remarkable and important fact. That's the kind of thing that we need more of if we're going to get anywhere near the title of this session.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the type of thing that we're going to dive into.